কি
हॅलो सर, माझं आता लेक्चर चालू होते, तर एकच निरोप द्यायचा होता. तो ज्ञानदीप फाउंडेशनचा जो आहे तो सुहास देशपांडेला सोडून दुसरा ग्रुप तयार करा. रानडे सरांना आणि ते कोण गिरीश सर होते त्यांना घेऊन, सुहास देशपांडेंना घेऊ नका. बघितलं का ग्रुपवर, बघितलं का तुम्ही?
त्यांचा आवाज कसा येतो?
Hello everybody, is my voice audible to you all? Hello, hello, is my voice audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, welcome you all. Current participants are 28. So we will wait for 2-3 minutes more and then we will start. So what was the attendance in the morning? How many participants were there? Hello. Okay, can somebody brief me how many participants were there in the morning? You can write in a chat box, I will check. Yeah. $79, $77. So we should wait for some time. Currently there are 35. Okay, it's a 1.05, so maybe we can start. So I have started sharing the file. So sometime they will be hitting us. Hello? Yes, I'm listening. Hello. Somebody was talking, I was not able to listen. Can you write in a chat box? You people were saying that in the morning there were 77, around 77 people were there, but the students were there. So I feel that we should wait for a few minutes. Above 40. Prerna, do you want to say something? Hello? Okay, I have received messages from you people. So shall I start? Somebody can raise hands and all those so I can understand. Good. I will start. I will start the class. Lecture 1. So this is our first lecture. I will start the slide sharing. Okay. I think you are visible to see the environmental engineering, is it? So I will give you a little background about the subject and then we'll start. So currently you are studying for the GATE examination. You have already studied about this subject, water supply engineering, and in upcoming semester you are going to study about the wastewater engineering. These two are the parts under the environmental engineering. Not only these two parts, but when we are saying EE1 and EE2 subjects for the university examination, these subjects are nothing but water supply engineering, wastewater engineering. But from the GATE point of view, I would like to tell you maximum almost a 15 marks question will be there. 15 marks I am saying, not the 15 question. Almost a 15 marks questions will be there from these subjects. So what includes in these subjects? The first part included in this subject is the water supply engineering. Second part included in this subject is the wastewater engineering. Third part is the air pollution and control. And the next part is the noise pollution. So on noise pollution, maximum one question will be there. On air pollution, 1 or 2 questions will be there. And the remaining questions will be there from the water supply engineering and wastewater engineering. So this subject is actually why you should select this subject for the study, that I will tell you. So while you are studying for the GATE preparation, might be other experts have explained to you. So you should select the specific subjects if you are not able to study the complete all subjects. So you should select some subjects, typical subjects, and then you can decide. So as per the contribution of marks given in the GATE examination accordingly, and the second agenda, you should consider that what is comfortable to you. Accordingly, you can select the subjects. Now, I am going to tell you why you should select the environmental engineering. This subject is little bit easy as compared to the structural mechanics subject or the mathematics subjects, etc. And a very its hard level of these subjects will not be raised the way it is going to be raised for the structural subjects. So you can select this subject for your study. And syllabus is also not that much vast under the environmental engineering. Okay. So we'll start the first part of this. Today I am going to concentrate on the first part under that water supply engineering. So we'll see whatever is will be completed today, and then we will continue tomorrow. Okay. Whether all are comfortable with my language and speed? How come I will get know that you are comfortable or not comfortable?
Yes, ma'am.
It is comfortable to you. Okay, thank you. Keep on telling me if my voice is not audible after sometimes. Is it? Okay. Now we'll go with one by one syllabus. So we'll see first, as this is the first lecture, we will see the syllabus. First part is the water and wastewater. Quality standards, basic unit processes, operations for water treatment, drinking water standard, water requirements, basic unit operations, and unit processes for surface water treatment, distribution of water. This is the first part. Then, first part, in the sense, it is completely related with the water supply engineering. Then the next paragraph you can see here, that is the sewerage treatment, quantity and characteristics of wastewater. Then let me see, some messages are there. Okay, no problem. So then sewage and sewerage treatment, this part you have not studied. So just a background, just we'll go with syllabus and then I will tell you. Sewage and sewerage treatment, quantity and characteristics of wastewater, primary, secondary and tertiary treatment of wastewater, effluent discharge standards, domestic wastewater treatment, quantity of characteristics of domestic wastewater, primary and secondary treatment, unit operations and unit processes of domestic wastewater, and the last one is the sludge disposal. Okay, then the next one, the next part is the air pollution. As I said to you, there are the different subjects included under the environmental engineering. The first one is the water supply engineering. Second one is the wastewater engineering. Third one is the air pollution. And fourth one is the municipal solid waste. And last one is the noise pollution. Okay. So air pollution, under that you just have to study about the, somebody is mic is on, please off. वाऱ्याचा आवाज येतो इकडे मला. Okay, good. Thank you. Types of pollutants, their sources and impacts, air pollution metrology, air pollution control, air quality standards and limits. Only this much part, very typical syllabus is included under the air pollution. Then the municipal solid waste, characteristics, generation, collection and transportation of solids, solid waste, engineered systems for solid waste management. Then the last part is the noise pollution, impacts of noise, permissible limits of noise pollution, measurement of noise, and control of noise pollution. Okay, this is the syllabus included under the title environmental engineering. Okay, so the next we will start. Sorry, we will start with the water supply engineering, because you have until now you have studied only the water supply engineering. I know that you have taken a heavy lunch in a break and you are facing me. So I will not make you bored that much. Be comfortable and listen to me. So very easy part, little bit revision, whatever you have studied. So because this is a revision, I will take it little fast. If you feel that you need more explanation, you can stop me by sending a message. Okay. Raw water sources. So this part in water supply engineering, as a first part you have studied, raw water sources are of two types. One is the surface sources and another is the groundwater sources. Groundwater sources, we can say subsurface sources. Under the surface sources, you know, whatever the river, pond, lake, stream, reservoirs, ocean, everything is coming under the surface water sources. And what are the groundwater sources? Groundwater sources are nothing but the springes, wells, bore wells, tube wells. These can be considered as the groundwater sources. And you might have studied with respect to characteristics of the characteristics of the water. And you might have understood the fundamental difference between the surface water quality and groundwater quality. Still, I will repeat here. Many of the things may be repetition to you. Surface water quality, with respect to quality of surface water, we can say that water is turbid water and groundwater is a hard water. That this is the fundamental difference between these two sources, that is surface water sources and groundwater sources. Now the water quality estimation, there are two parts in a first chapter of the water supply engineering. First part of the water supply engineering, first part is the quantity and second part is the quality. So the quantity estimation you might have studied. The quantity of water required for municipal uses for which the water supply scheme has to be designed requires the what kind of data? Amount of consumption or the rate of consumption. What is the demand per head demand by the people? And then according to the number of populations or amount of population of that particular city, you can find out the requirement of that particular city. Is it? So first you should know the consumption rate or the per capita demand. So water consumption, usual consumption, I have demonstrated here through this table. We need water for the domestic purpose. We need water for the industrial and commercial purpose. Then public use as purpose, and some amount of water will be there for the losses and waste. In detail, you might have studied about these topics. Still, I heard something that you have not covered maximum amount of syllabus of the water supply engineering. So that's why I have taken some such slides a little slower and with the fundamentals. Domestic consumption. So average consumption is 160 liter per capita per day. If somebody asks you what is the standard consumption rate of water, what is the standard demand of water supply, definitely you should mention that it is the 135 liter per capita per day. Is it per capita in the sense per head? The requirement of water is 135 liter per capita per day. But that demand may not be ever same everywhere. It depends upon the standardization, it depends upon the quality of water, it depends upon the cost of water, it depends upon the geographical condition, climatic condition. So many different factors are there. Living standard of the people, everything is there. But the average requirement of water, standard requirement of water is 135 liter per capita per day. So industrial and commercial purpose, they may vary from place to place, as there is the if in suppose in Pandharpur we are calculating, and if you are taking 135 per liter per capita per day is a industrial demand. Will it be required? No, it will not be required. Why it will not be required? Because in our area there are no such industries where the such amount of water is required. But damn sure there is the commercial area. What comes under the commercial area? Institutes, offices, schools, colleges, everything is coming under the commercial area. So as per the size of that particular institute, particular college, their growth, you have to consider while calculating or while considering the demand with respect to industrial or commercial demand. Then the public usage, maybe there are some parks, gardens, and there is a requirement in that respect. The losses and waste. So losses with respect to water is very huge problem. You know, one interesting thing I would like to share with you. Do you observe any time a tanker with a gas is going and it is a leaked one? Is it? Never. A tanker with petrol, it is traveling by road. Do you observe there is a leakage? If there is a leakage, I would have go with a can to collect the petrol. Is it? Or you might also join me. But it is not happening with respect to water. Why it is not happening with respect to water? We are unaware about the, or we are less bother about the wastage of water. Is it? So it happens with respect to. So damn sure we should consider the losses also. Because people are joining still, I have to keep on adding them. Okay, so let me tell you what are the factors affecting on the demand of water. That also you have studied. I will not waste more time. This is not that much important from the GATE exam point of view. Size of the city, presence of industries, as we have discussed already, climatic conditions, habits of the people and their economic status, or we can say standardization of the people, quality of water. If the good quality of water is there, good quality, we consume more. If the quality of water is deteriorated one, the less consumption will be there. So if water is aesthetically and medically safe, the consumption will increase, as people will not resort to private wells. Are you getting that point? Quality of water matters a lot with respect to demand of water. If the quality of water is not good, the people prefer to go with their own resort, own sources, instead of taking the water from the municipality. Is it? Then pressure. This will also matter. Pressure in the distribution system. If the high pressure, sufficient pressure, or the exact word we can say is the optimal pressure. If pressure is optimal one, then everyone will go for the maximum usage will be there. And if low pressure is there, in that case, there will be tendency to use less one. Then efficiency of water works. Yeah, how long these people will keep on disturbing us? Why don't you people join at the sharp time? Okay, efficiency of water work administration. Then cost of water. If cost is more, less consumption will be there. Cost is less, consumption will be more, and if cost is more, the less consumption will be there. Policy of meeting and changing method, water tax, etc. It is again it is coming under the taxes cost itself. Okay. Now the next point is the fluctuation in water demand. Have you studied that? Seasonal variation, daily variation, and hourly variation. So water supply engineering, when you are studying, why you should find out the demand, what is the necessity to find out the demand of water. Until and unless you are not able to find out the individual demand of water, you cannot find out the demand of the particular city. And if you are knowing the demand of city, you can design a complete water supply system. And civil engineers' role in this sector is to design the water supply system, or we can say public water supply system. And if it is not competent, if you don't find out the demand of that particular city, you will not be able to design a competent water supply system. Is it? You might have visited the Manisha Nagar water treatment plant and observed the various unit operations and unit processes for the treatment of water. So that system you have to design, first part. Then the distribution system also you have to design. And then on what basis you should design? On the demand basis. I will ask a question, whether the same system, whatever we have designed for the Pandharpur, will work for the Mumbai city? No, definitely it will not work, because that population, that standardization, that climatic conditions are different. And at our area, these are the different. Definitely we should go for the city to city study with respect to all the parameters, and then we can design. So that's why you should first should be capable to find out the demand of that particular city. Now the next one is the seasonal variation, daily variation, and hourly variation. Seasonal variation in the sense, summer season. In our India there are 3 seasons.
25, 26, 27 तीन दिन जो है रेड अलर्ट किया गया, इसके बाद में 28 को और
B16 Shaheen Sheikh, mute your voice please. Okay, sorry friends for disturbance. Then fluctuation, there are 3 types of fluctuation. Seasonal variation, in India there are the 3 types of seasons. First winter, then summer, and then rainy season, which is about to come. So as per the season, the demand are also changing. Then you know that in summer season the requirement of water will be very high, and during the winter season or the rainy season the requirement will be reduced. So to decide the capacity of the reservoir or the capacity of each and individual unit operation, you should know the demand also, because variation is also working very important step. So peak variation, peak demand, and peak excess, means excess supply and excess demand. These are the 2 terminologies. Excess supply in the sense the demand is less and you are supplying more amount of water, which happens usually in the winter season. You might have observed at your location. Then peak demand in the sense demand will be more, very high, and the supply is less from the municipal corporation. In that case, you are facing the water scarcity. To avoid such conditions, you should find out the variation, and accordingly you should design the water supply system, each unit operation and unit processes. So daily variation is there, hourly variation is there. So one term I am going to explain here, that this is the daily variation graph. So here you can see it is a 0th hour, and here you can say the 24th hour, is it? So, and this is the water demand in million liter per day, and here per hour, the time in hours. So initially up to the morning 4 at down, I can say at down 4 a.m. the water requirement will be very less. But as morning starts, it's a peak will go to up to the late morning. It's a peak will go to the highest level, and then again it will fall down in between the afternoon session, noon session we can say. Again after 4 p.m. it will start the demand of water increasing, and then it will goes down. So in that case, what should we do if the demand of or the variation of demand is fluctuating this way? What we should do? We should not change the dimensions of unit operations and unit processes. Accordingly, we should make available water in the reservoirs. There are two types of reservoir: groundwater storage reservoir and elevated storage reservoir. You might have studied that. What is the use of groundwater storage reservoir? To store the water whenever there is the variation is there. And what is the use of elevated storage reservoir? To supply the water with the optimum pressure to the public or the consumers. That is the use of elevated storage reservoir. We are using the terminology ESR and GSR. ESR is for the elevated storage reservoir, and GSR is for the ground storage reservoir. Is it? So that way we can keep stored amount into groundwater storage reservoir tank to supply, to meet the variation of demand. Is it? I expect that you are clear with this, and then we'll go to the next. Okay, design periods. What is meant by design period? How long that construction is under work. And the next part is how long this system is going to be under the use. This quantity should be worked out with the due provision for the estimated requirements of the future. The future period for which provision is made in the water supply scheme is known as the design period, and it is usually in between 20 to 40 years. We can say 2 to 4 decades. Is it? So why should we, and the completion or the working period should not be greater than 2 years. Construction should not be more, construction time should not be consumed more than 2 years, because for that your planning is going to be collapse. So you should use period for the construction less than 2 years, and the construction should be useful for the next 2 to 4 decade. Are you getting? एकदा आपण एखादा वॉटर सप्लाय प्लांट डिझाईन केला, कन्स्ट्रक्ट केला, तर तो पुढच्या 30 ते 40 वर्षासाठी कामाला आला पाहिजे. 30 ते 40 वर्षापेक्षा जास्त का नसला पाहिजे? बिकॉज द पॉप्युलेशन इज गोइंग टू बी चेंज. Drastic change will be there after 4 decades, and in that case you cannot be able to supply that much amount of water to the public. So it should not be more than this. Okay, next, design period is estimated based on the following: useful life of competent component considering obsolescence, wear, tear, etc. Expandability aspect, expandability of the particular city, then anticipated rate of growth of population including industrial commercial developments, then available resources, performance of the system during initial period. Now we are coming to the point how to find out the demand of water. Is it? So I told you that you should be capable to find out the demand of water. How to find out the demand of water? That there are the different methods. You might have studied in a class. These methods are nothing but arithmetic increase method, geometric increase method, incremental increase method, decreasing rate of growth method, simple graphical method, comparative graphical method, ratio method, logistic curve method. Is it? So then we, out of these different, along with these, few more are there. but popularly being used are the first three one. That is arithmetic increase method, geometric increase method, and incremental increase method. So we will see with one example how we can find out the demand of water with the help of these three different methods, that is arithmetical increase method, geometrical increase method, and incremental increase method. So the first arithmetical increase method. In this method, what we do, a population from a decade to decade is assumed a constant. Whenever you are calculating, you are finding the population, you are going for the population forecasting. Population forecasting in the sense, forecast the people population in next few decades, next 2 decade, next 3 decade, next 5 decade is the population forecasting. देन इन दिस अंदाज बांधायचे नेक्स्ट 2-3 डिकेड साठी की किती पॉप्युलेशन वाढू शकतं त्या पर्टिक्युलर सिटीचं. In this method, we are going to consider increase method. Increase in population from decade to decade is assumed a constant. Remember that. And so from the census department, you can take the data for the last few decades, 2 to 3 decade, 5 decade, whatever you want, whatever you are comfortable, and then find out the constant and then add it into successive decades. Successive decade in the sense very next, you can go keep on adding. So this way you can find out the future population. So for finding out the future population by using the arithmetical increase method, what is the formula? That is Pn is equal to P plus N into I, where Pn is nothing but the population, future population. P is nothing but the current population, or we can say present population. Then N is nothing but the number of decades for which you are going to find out the population. Then I is nothing but the average increment for that particular decade. Now we'll see with the geometrical increase method. In this method, percentage increase in population from decade to decade is constant. From the previous 3 to 4 year decades, the percentage increase in population is found and its average is found, and that can be added into the successive decades. So how we can find out the population by using the geometrical increase method? The formula is presented over here. Pn is equal to P into bracket 1 plus Ij upon 100 raised to N. This, then the last one method, third one method, I can say the incremental increase method. This method combines both the arithmetic average method and geometrical average method. From the census record, the actual increase in decade, each decade is first find out. Then increment in increase is found. Increment in increase you have to find out. From this, an average increment of increase can be determined. Okay. So the population in the next decade is found by adding the present population, the average increase plus the average increase, incremental increase per decade. The process is repeated for the second future decade and so on. Thus the future population we can find out with the help of formula by using that Pn is equal to P plus N into I plus N of N plus 1 upon 2 into R. So where I is the average increase per decade, R is the average incremental increase, and N is the number of decades. So these are the different three formulas to determine the population by arithmetical increase method, incremental increase method, then the geometrical increase method. So I'm going to give you one example to solve. Before that, we will go for the graphical extension method. This is very interesting method. Graphical extension method. So I have shown here a graph, a population in 1000 against the time. With respect to time, how much population has been increased in that particular city. So that you can plot with the help of graph up to the current decade, because till the current decade or up to the last decade, you may be getting the data from the census department, but you want to find out the data for the next few decades, 2, 3 decades, 4 decades, is it? So until now data, whatever is there, you can plot the graph, and then the way it has been extended, you can just extend that graph. Instead of doing the lot of exercise, you can take this easiest way, but this is a very rough method. It will not work effectively, but the, absolutely the population forecasting or the population development is the very tedious job that it may increase in a different way. So you can take this method also into consideration. That is the graphical extension method. So I have extended just graph from this. You can see here by dotted lines, the graph has been extended. And this will be the, this way you can find out that for this much design period, I have extended the graph, and then I will get know what will be the population in the next future decades. Then the graphical comparison method. So what we do here in the graphical comparison method, with the help of graph directly, I will explain. Here also I have plotted the graph from population against the year. So the last few decades, we can observe, we can identify such a cities where the growth of population is similar way. If I have selected a Pune city, then comparative with that city is Kolkata city I have selected, or something else. So such a cities which had grown with a similar rate, you can identify and you can plot that graph. Then after particular year, there may be the different in growth. आलं का लक्षात थोडंसं? एक 4 डिकेड किंवा 5 डिकेडचा अभ्यास केला आणि त्या 5 डिकेड मध्ये जर अशा 4-5 सिटी सिमिलर वेनी ग्रोथ झालेले असतील, त्यांचा ग्राफ सेम येत असेल, आणि तिथून 5व्या डिकेड पासून पुढच्या 4-5 डिकेड साठी त्याची जी ग्रोथ आहे ती परत थोडीशी वेगवेगळी होत गेलेली आहे. मग काही सिटीमध्ये ते खूप जास्त झालेली आहे, काही सिटीमध्ये थोडी कमी झालेली आहे, असं होऊ शकतं. Why it will happen? Because of availability of amenities in that particular city. खूप industrialized area असेल तर काय होईल? The way our Bombay city is growing, it will grow like this. आणि जर कमी असतील इंडस्ट्रियलायझेशन किंवा एज्युकेशनल सोर्सेस कमी असतील तर त्या सिटीची थोडी ग्रोथ कमी होईल. So this way there will be difference between the growth of these such cities. Then average of that city, various city you can take as a growth of your city, whatever you are going to design a water supply system. कळालं का? ग्राफ बघा, इथून इथपर्यंत जेव्हा तो वाढला आहे त्यावेळेस एका पर्टिक्युलर ऑल द सिटीज हॅड ग्रोन विथ द सेम रेट, आणि तिथून पुढं काही काळासाठी वेगवेगळ्या टाईपची ग्रोथ ऑब्झर्व झाली. सी, बी, डी, ई. तर त्यांच्या सगळ्या सिटीचं ऍव्हरेज इज नथिंग बट द ऍव्हरेज ऑफ युअर सिटी फॉर विच यू आर गोइंग टू डिझाईन दी वॉटर सप्लाय सिस्टम. इज इट? Then if as I told you, first 3 are the very popular one, and those 2, the graphical methods, which are the roughly method. If suddenly I want to find out the population immediately, I should not go to calculate and to find out the population. I can go with this diagrams. So because maximum data will be available on the internet, you just can take that data and you can plot the graph. Then this, with respect to these 3, basically गेट एक्झामला या 3 मेथड वरती क्वेश्चन्स विचारले जातात. तो क्वेश्चन फार तर 1 किंवा 2 मार्काला असतो. तुम्ही आता युनिव्हर्सिटी एक्झामला जेव्हा हा स्टडी केलेला असेल पॉप्युलेशन फोरकास्टिंगचा, तो 5 मार्कासाठी किंवा 6 मार्कासाठीचा प्रॉब्लेम स्टडी केलेला असणार आहे. पण तोच प्रॉब्लेम तुम्हाला गेट मध्ये 2 किंवा 1 मार्काला 3 मार्काला विचारला जाऊ शकतो. सो हाऊ इट विल बी देअर. But still if you will do more practice, then you will be able to solve these examples with a very short period of time. So what we will do here, we'll go with one example. झालंच तर तुमच्याकडे थोडं नोट करत चला, म्हणजे आन्सर्स क्रॉस चेक करता येतील आपल्याला. एक एक्झाम्पल सॉल्व्ह करणार आहे मी आणि त्याच्यानंतर मग आपण गेटचे क्वेश्चन्स बघूया. The following is the population data. जर पॉसिबल असेल तर लिहून घ्या तुम्ही, म्हणजे तुम्हाला कॅल्क्युलेट करता येईल. ज्यांना फास्ट कॅल्क्युलेट करता येते त्यांनी कॅल्क्युलेट करून मेसेज बॉक्स मध्ये आन्सर्स टाकायला हरकत नाही. Am I right? Is it okay? Participants are 60. Then charts are not nothing is there. Okay, so we will do this way. The following is the population data of a city available from past census records. Determine the population of the city in 2011 by arithmetical increase method, geometrical increase method, incremental increase method, graphical method, or decrease rate method. So at least we will solve with the first three methods. Arithmetical increase method. Is there anybody who don't understand Marathi? I don't think the Kashmir people have joined, not joined, or may not have joined. Okay, I may talk in Marathi in between, and if somebody is not able to understand, can unmute your mic and you can tell me. इथं काय विचारलेलं आहे? You have to determine the population in the year 2011. And what data is available from the census department? It is from 1931 to 1991. So these 7 years data, 7 decades data is available with you, and you have to find out the population in next 2 decades, that is 2011. So what will be our current population? Current year is nothing but 1991. आता आपण थोडंसं मागचं एक्झाम्पल घेतल्यामुळे ते थोडंसं हे होत आहे की 1991 हे आपलं करंट पॉप्युलेशन समजते आपण, आणि आपल्याला 2011चं पॉप्युलेशन काढायचंय, म्हणजे नेक्स्ट 2 डिकेडचं पॉप्युलेशन काढायचंय. करंट इयरचं पॉप्युलेशन आहे 74,100. ओके, सो आय होप यू हॅव नोटेड, and I will go to the next slide. So again, for your remembering, I have noted down all the formulas together. Arithmetical increase method, Pn is equal to P plus N into I. Geometrical increase method, Pn is equal to P of 1 plus Ij upon 100 raised to N. Pn is equal to P plus N into I into N of N plus 1 upon 2 into R. All these three methods, by all these three methods, I have written the formulas here. So you can see here, I have converted that table into vertical form. These are the year started from 1931 to 1991, as 1991 is the current population. Then population I have mentioned in the second column. This way table you can, if you will prepare, it will be easiest way to find out the population. Means why you should make this such a table? To find out I, to find out Ig, to find out R. Is it? These are the three terminologies you are required to solve for further population. So how to find out? Arithmetical increase method. Once you have determined these I, Ig and R, I is nothing but the increment per decade. What we studied in arithmetic increase method, you should find out the increment in per decade, and then you should find out the average increment per decade. That average increment you can add into a successive decade of future. Is it? So this was the statement with respect to arithmetical increase method. So here we have determined the increment per decade. How to determine the increment per decade? Next decade population minus last decade population. And this way you will get the difference. Is it 16,500 minus 12,000, 4,500, 26,800 minus 16,500, 10,300, and the same way here. So you got the 6 values in respect to 7-year population, and average we have determined here, that is 10,350. Then the percentage increment per decade. The next step is to determine the percentage increment per decade. How to find out the percentage increment per decade? That's 16 next year data minus first year divided by first year multiplied by 100. That is 16,500 minus 12,000 upon 12,000 into 100. You will get the percentage increment per decade. And we got the average as a IG 36.76. And the last one is the incremental increase. In the incremental increase, what you did, incremental increase. म्हणजे अगोदर जो आपण increment per decade काढलेला आहे. So this is the second column. We determine increment per decade. And then the next one, we have to find out incremental increase. So the next decade's increment minus first decade's increment will be your, and here you should consider the sign also. So here you are getting first value plus 5,800, second plus 4,400 plus 1,300 minus 5,500 minus 4,400, and average of that is nothing but R, incremental increase, and it is 320. Once you get these values, you can put it into the formulas and you can find out the population by using 3 different methods. बरोबर आहे. फक्त अरिथमेटिकल इन्क्रीज मेथड करताना तुम्हाला नवीन व्हॅल्यू काय माहित असायला पाहिजे तर I, incremental increase. We have determined from that table, and N is nothing but the number of decades. P is nothing but the current population. As I said, the current population, current year, our current year is the 1991. So if the current year is the 1991, the current population will be 74,100. Is it? And then N is the 2. Why I have taken N is 2? Because 1991 पर्यंतचा डेटा तुमच्याकडे करंट पॉप्युलेशन म्हणून आहे आणि 2011 चा 2011 minus 1991 is nothing but the 2. Is it? 2 decades are there. So it is written 2. And then I is nothing but the, we have calculated. So this way we got the value for the arithmetical increase method, and that is nothing but the 94,800. Then the geometrical increase method. Geometrical increase method formula is Pn is equal to P of 1 plus Ig upon 100 raised to N. Ig we determined in our table, and from that we can write Pn is equal to 74,100 in bracket 1 plus 36.76 upon 100 raised to 2. N we have taken 2, so raised to 2. And this is nothing but the value we got with the help of geometrical increase method. This is the geometrical increase method. So you can see there will be difference between the arithmetical increase method data and geometrical increase method data. So it will keep on changing. Is it? But you can take the better to you can go for the next method, and that is nothing but the incremental increase method. Incremental increase method is one of the effective method to determine the population forecasting, because in that both the factors, that is I also considered and Ig also considered here, so that's why it will be more effective than the earlier 2 methods, that is the incremental increase method. N is equal to, what is the formula? Tn is equal to P plus N into I plus N of bracket N plus 1 upon 2 into R. So P is nothing but the current population, N is nothing but the number of decades. I we determined with the help of that earlier table, and 2 of 2 plus 1 upon 2 into R we determined, and that was the 320. So what is our population? 95,760. So you can compare with earlier methods. By arithmetical increase method it was 94,800. By geometrical increase method it was 1,38,000, and by incremental increase method 95,000. So in between task we will get. So this much variation is allowed. You can go with this variation and you can determine the population of that particular city. Once you get know the population of that particular city, you can design the water supply system. The water system supply system, first agenda you should know what is the population of that particular city, and then you can decide the demand Once you get know the demand, next task is to determine the source, and then once you determine the source, then you should find out what will be the cost, how much availability of funds are there, and then what extent water should be treated, and accordingly you can decide, you can take the decision to design the public water supply system. Is it? So this was the first part with respect to water quantity. Okay, so I have added some examples on the water quantity after this water quality parameter completion. Okay, so we will solve some examples also. Now the next part is the water quality. Water quality, here you can see there are basically there are three characteristics. Remember one thing, you have not appeared for the examination, university examination, so I am going to clear you that water quality, water characteristics, water parameters, all these things are one and the same. So you can write the same answer, or somebody may ask you what are the components of water. In that case also you should consider the same, that is with respect to water quality. So physical characteristics demonstrate the physical change in water quality. Physical change in what respect? Physical change, somebody may ask me. आता पाणी दिसताना कसं दिसतंय आणि ते आहे पाणी आता सध्या कसं दिसतंय, समजा नदीचं पाणी घेतलं ते कसं दिसतं, थोडंसं गढूळ कलरचं दिसतं, किंवा खूप वर्षापासून नदी वाहत असेल आणि तो पावसाळा नसेल तर त्या पिरियड मध्ये क्रिस्टल क्लिअर वॉटर वाहताना दिसतं. So that is the difference, physical change in the parameter, physical change in water quality. Getting? Color change होणं किंवा turbidness change होणं, thickness, त्याची, that is nothing but the physical characteristics. What are the physical parameters? Turbidity, color, taste and odor and temperature. So turbidity turbidity is nothing but so scattering of light, amount of light is being scattered due to the presence of solid particles in water. There are three different types of solids in a water, or we can say total solids in a water: suspended solids, then dissolved solids, and then suspended solids, dissolved solids and colloidal solids. Three different types of solids are there. So I have not added that slide because this is very fundamental part, but still the point has come, I am going to explain you. Suspended solids which are in a suspension form, either sedimenting at the bottom or remaining at the surface, that is the suspended solids. Then dissolved solids, these are in a dissolved form in a water. And then the next one is the colloidal solids. Colloidal solids are little bit like the suspended solids but very fine particles, and we cannot able to catch them, we are not able to separate it out them, because these particles are always in a motion, so they will be keep on moving in a water. They are colloidal particles, they are charged particles, so that's why they are keep on moving in a water. So that's why this is not possible to see by the naked eyes, and also not possible to remove it by simple filtration method or simple we can say गाळून वगैरे आपण त्यांना बाजूला करू शकत नाही. So that is nothing but the colloidal solids. So with respect to that, you might have performed an experiment how to find out the suspended solids and how to find out the dissolved solids. फिल्टर लावला, वॉटमन फिल्टर पेपर लावला, त्या फिल्टर मधून जे गाळून पाण्याबरोबर खाली जाते, फिल्टर बरोबर मिक्स झालेले असतात, दॅट इज नथिंग बट द डिझॉल्व्ड सॉलिड्स, आणि जे फिल्टरच्या वरती राहिलेले असतात, दॅट इज नथिंग बट द सस्पेंडेड सॉलिड्स. Summation of these two is nothing but the total solids. Along with these three solids, there are the number of different volatile solids, fixed solids are also there, but these are in very minor conditions, minor quantity. So that's why we least bother about the availability of these types of solids in a water. A second, I will take a break. One second break, don't go anyway. कोणी लेक्चरला बसताना मास्क घालून नाही बसले ना? So use mask for very particular use only, not everywhere. To save yourself in a public places, you can use the mask, but you should not use the mask everywhere, because you will not be able to get the sufficient amount of oxygen because of the mask. Okay, this was beyond some area. I will come to the point. So the turbidity we were talking. So स्कॅटरिंग ऑफ लाईट, एखादा पार्टिकल जर वॉटर मध्ये अवेलेबल असेल तर तो काय करेल, लाईट पास होऊ देईल का वॉटर मध्ये? नाही, इट विल नॉट बी अलाउड टू पास द लाईट. सो व्हॉट विल हॅपन, दॅट विल रिफ्लेक्ट द लाईट. सो लेट मी चेक वन फाईल. That will not allow to pass the light, it will reflect. So that is nothing but turbidity you can measure by using the different methods. What are the different methods to measure the turbidity? First method, you can use the turbidity rod. Turbidity rod म्हणजे काय? So simply aluminum rod will be there, and at the end of that rod there will be a colored nail or खिळा लावलेला असेल एखादा वेगळ्या कलरचा, किंवा तो सेम कलर असेल तर त्याला वेगळा कलर दिला जातो. In a particular tank, this is very fast method to determine the turbidity on a field. रॉड त्या पाण्यामध्ये असं बुडवला जातो खालीपर्यंत, आणि वरून नेकेड आईजने बघितलं जातं की कधीपर्यंत तो रॉड दिसतोय आपल्याला, रॉडचा तो खालचा खिळा दिसतोय. Once you feel that rod is not visible to your eyes, you will stop immediately, and that rod will be having the measurements, marking of the measurements. So through that you can identify the turbidity available into that particular water tank. Why should go for find out this much quick method to find out the turbidity? Because this is going to help you to decide the dose of coagulant. What coagulant do? Coagulant helps to remove the turbidity, especially for the colloidal particles or the suspended particles also, and dissolved particles also. So what they do, colloidal coagulants, they bring the agglomeration process will start, and the coagulant will make them the different impurities to club together and convert into floc. Means the mass of that solids is going to be increased. Once the mass of solid increased, it will start settling down, is it? And during sedimentation process you can remove these turbid particles from that particular tank. So to take the decision with respect to application of coagulant, you can take such a quick method. You can use such a quick method to determine the turbidity. Then what else method is available to find out the turbidity? There is the Bailey's instrument. If we are determining the I will not explain all these methods in detail, but what are the units and how we can say, that will only I will explain. Bailey's equipment, if it is used, then you can measure the turbidity in BTU, capital BTU. Nephelometric equipment is used. In that case, you can say it is a NTU. Jackson turbidity meter is used. In that case, you can use the JTU. BTU, JTU, NTU. These are the various equipments. Along with that, the milligram per liter or ppm are the various equipments we can use for the finding out the turbidity. So you should remember this for the get point of view. JTU, NTU, BTU, milligram per liter and ppm are the units can be used to determine the turbidity. And the next one is the color. Color as such is not going to be affect on the quality of water, but why should test that color? Because the color of water will tell us amount of organic matters present into that water, and aesthetic view is also important to have the water. While decomposition of organic waste material, there will be the emission of some gases and some amount of organic matter into that water, and it will change the color of water. Some amount of iron particle, excess of iron particle will also change the color of water. So with the help of tintometer, you can measure the color of water, and usually the color is measured in cobalt scale level. Cobalt scale level, and should not be greater than 5 cobalt scale for the drinking water purpose. Then the taste and odor. With respect to taste and odor, I would like to tell you the taste matters a lot for the consumption of water, and odor also matters a lot. But it is the person to person perception will change. Am I right? It will change the perception from person to person, because somebody another example we will take. कुणाला पेंटचा वास आवडतो पण कोणाला तो अजिबात आवडत नाही. सो सेम हॅपन्स विथ अ वॉटर ऑल्सो. कोणाला कुठला वास आवडेल कोणाला नाही. दॅट इज द देअर ओन परसेप्शन. बट स्टील the water which we want to consume as a drinking water should be tasteless, should be odorless, should be colorless. Is it? Then the temperature. Temperature governs the various chemical reaction rate in a water. So its the optimal temperature must be 10 degrees Celsius for the drinking purpose, and then the consumption will be proper. Then the chemical characteristics. There are different chemical characteristics: pH, acidity, alkalinity, hardness, chlorides, sulfates, iron, solids, nitrates, etc. Okay, somewhere I have added the one to one, but I think this slide is missing. pH, you know how to measure the pH. So I will stop sharing little bit for some time. So while you are considering, sir, now we are coming towards the chemical characteristics of the water. In a chemical characteristics, when you are talking about the chemical, first characteristic is the always pH. So why pH is a very important type of because many of the reaction rate we can judge with the help of amount of pH present into that water. Is it? pH is nothing but there is a range of pH from 0 to 14. Is it? When H plus ion concentration is increasing, pH will decrease. Means it will goes to the acidic. How much? What is the acidic pH? Below 7. Above 7, it is the alkaline pH. When H plus ion concentration is decreasing, then pH increases. It will go to increase the. It will go towards the alkaline in nature. So this pH for the drinking purpose, the optimal range should be in between 6.5 to 8.5. Is it? It should not be less than this, or it should not be greater than this. 6.5 to 8.5, or smartly we can say 6.6 to 8.4 for the drinking purpose, which will not harm to us. How to measure the pH value? We can use pH meter, or specific answer will be the potentiometer. Friends, you remember with respect to water quality, what is the standard limit for the drinking purpose? If it is the water supply engineering, then what are the different equipments you are using? Then what is the what is the standard limit, and which equipment you are using? Or if another chemical reaction type are there, then what is the reagents you have used? On that basis the question will be there in a teach. Getting? So you should remember how to perform the test. You should study thoroughly. There are only specific 10-12 tests. Once you study thoroughly na, then there will not be problem with respect to such types of questions. काय विचारतात फक्त इंडिकेटर कुठला वापरला, रिएजंट कुठला वापरला, स्टँडर्ड लिमिट काय आहे, आणि कुठलं इक्विपमेंट वापरलं जातं. So these are the specific with respect to 10-12 test. So you should be study well this test. Okay. So very specific answer, if I will say to you with respect to pH measurement equipment, it will be a potentiometer. pH equipment or pH meter may somebody will tell, but a specific equipment in that specific part is the potentiometer, which is going to be measured. and its range should be in between the 6.6 to 8.4. Now I will talk about the hardness of water. What is the hardness of water? Hardness of water is nothing but the there are two types of hardness. What are these two types of hardness? Lecture 1 I am going to. What are two types of hardness? First one hardness is a temporary hardness. Second one Hello? Somebody's mic is on, please. Somebody's mic is on. Okay, what is the temporary hardness? Temporary hardness is nothing but which causes due to the carbonates and bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium. Fundamental reason to cause the hardness is the calcium and magnesium. Then calcium and magnesium in which form? If it is carbonates and bicarbonates of the calcium and magnesium, then it will cause the temporary hardness. And if the sulfates, nitrates are there in that of calcium and magnesium, it will cause the permanent hardness. Temporary hardness can be removed easily by boiling method or by addition of lime, and so just you can boil the water and you can see sometimes we feel unhealthy and doctor suggests us to go for the boiled water. After boiling, first thing 100% bacteria will get killed. Second thing, it will reduce the hardness of water. म्हणजे ते काय होतं की लाईट होतं आणि लाईट झालं की काय होतं की ते पचनासाठी सोपं होतं. So doctor suggests us to go for the boiled water consumption during whenever you are feeling ill. Then the hardness, temporary hardness simply you can remove by boiling or addition of lime. Then the permanent hardness you need to apply some specific methods to go for. Then only you will be able to remove the hardness. So you should remember two things. Carbonates and bicarbonates of the calcium and magnesium will cause the temporary hardness. Sulfates, nitrates, and chlorides of calcium and magnesium will cause the permanent hardness. Is it? Standard limit for drinking of the drinking water is 70 ppm to 130 ppm for the drinking purpose. 70 ppm to 130 ppm. So it should not be more than that and it should not be less than that. So if it is more than that, you are well aware that what happens with the hard water, because usually in the villages we consume water from the bores and bore wells, and which is very hard one, and people used to face the issue or problem of the kidney stone, is it? So this such a problem will less observed in a city where there is the surface water sources are available, because surface, at the start I told you the difference between two types of the water, the hard water and soft water. Surface water and groundwater. Groundwater is hard water, surface water is turbid water. It will be less hard and it will be more turbid, whereas groundwater will be highly hard water and less turbid water. Then the next one, so unit you can use for the hardness. Hardness test, how you can perform? By using the ureochrome black tea indicator. So you remember that ureochrome black tea indicator. Then chlorides. Chloride, as such, chloride will not affect much on the human body that way, but still it should not be more than 250 ppm. Why it should not be more than 250 m? The presence of chloride in a water is indicating the quality of water, and chloride test is very easy test. Within few time, within 5 minutes, you can test the chloride content of water by using the silver nitrate indicator. You remember, silver nitrate is the indicator can be used to determine the chloride content. So it will be very easy to find. And chloride, where from the chloride is going to be mixed from the various excreta of the human body, is it? So through that the chloride, we consume almost 16 gram of sodium chloride every day through various food, and then it passes through the excreta, and if such type of waste is mixed into the water body, it will increase the chloride content of water. Meanwhile, that chloride content is the immediate test to find out the quality of water, is it, whether it is biological, because biological tests are very critical tests, and it will not give you fast results. Maximum minimum 3 hour 4 hour are required to find out the biological test. So if you want to go for the biological test, in that case you should not worry about the time. You can take a judgment with the help of chloride. So that's why chloride test is included over there. Then the sulfates, iron, solids. Solids I have talked about that. Then sulfates and then nitrates. Such kinds of minerals are going to be mixed from where there is the surface water as well as groundwater, because these particles are maximally present into the water surface, soil, and these are going to be mixed into the water body. So this way you can find out the chemical characteristics of the water. Now, very important aspect you are going to study, that is nothing but the bacteriological characteristics. What are the bacteriological, or we can say biological characteristics? These are much important than the earlier two. Why these are much important? Because these are going to be affected directly on your digestive system, and digestive system gets affected, it will hamper your life. A single bacteria will cause a lot. Their growth rate is also very fast. That's why we worry more about the bacteriological characteristics. Do you know one thing? Almost 90% diseases are spreading through water. So why don't we should be more careful with respect to water? Apart from that, not the part of this syllabus or subject, I would like to tell you, nowadays there is a funda to go for the reverse osmosis treatment process. बरोबर आहे? RO filter बसवलेला आहे सगळ्यांच्या घरी. So what happens with, because of that, this is going to be treat water up to the extreme level, जी की आपल्याला गरज नसते. त्याच्यामुळे दोन गोष्टी घडतात. एक तर तुमची डायजेस्टिव्ह सिस्टीम खराब सपोर्ट करायला शिकत नाही, तेवढी रेजिस्टन्स क्रिएट होत नाही, आणि दुसरी गोष्ट रिक्वायर्ड मिनरल्स सुद्धा त्याच्यातून निघून जातात. सो यू मे फेस लेस मिनरल्स अवेलेबल विथ दिस. So you should not go. You should study as a civil engineer, as an environmental engineer. You should study what is required and what not. तसं बघितलं तर पंढरपूरमध्ये वॉटर फिल्टर बसवणं गरजेचं आहे. कशासाठी गरजेचं आहे? पहिली गोष्ट, आय एम नॉट ब्लेमिंग एनीबडी, सॉरी, आय एम नॉट ब्लेमिंग एनीबडी. पहिली गोष्ट, ट्रीटमेंट त्या क्वालिटीची होत नाही, आणि त्या क्वालिटीची ट्रीटमेंट न होण्याचं कारण म्हणजे फ्लक्च्युएटेड डिमांड. डिमांड फ्लक्च्युएशन इतकं हाय आहे की ते मेंटेन करणं होत नाही तेवढं. कशामुळे फ्लक्च्युएशन आहे? दर 15 दिवसाला वारी असते, इतकी लोक गावात येतात, आणि मोठ्या वाऱ्या तर वेगळ्याच. त्याच्यामुळे काय होतं की मेंटेनन्स राहत नाही तेवढा क्वालिटीचा. आणि जर तुम्ही बघा,
हार्ड वॉटर पण आहे ना मग?
नाही, पंढरपूरला वॉटर हार्ड नाहीये. जर ते तुम्ही म्युन्सिपल कॉर्पोरेशनचं घेत असाल तर पाणी, का तर म्युन्सिपल कॉर्पोरेशनचं पाणी हे तुम्हाला याच्यातून येते, नदीतून येते, आणि रिव्हर वॉटर लेस हार्ड वॉटर दॅन दी ग्राउंड वॉटर. जर तुम्ही बोरवेलचं पाणी पित असाल तर ते खूप हार्ड असतं. एम आय क्लिअर?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this way you should worry about you and your family, what is to be used and what is not to be used. Is it? जर तुम्ही पाणी तुमच्याकडे व्यवस्थित असेल आणि त्याला आरोची गरज नसेल तर फॅशन म्हणून आरो बसवून घेऊ नका, आणि तुमच्या डायजेस्टिव्ह सिस्टम खराब करून घेऊ नका, रेजिस्टन्स पॉवर कमी करून घेऊ नका. So study well and then decide. So bacterial examination of water is very important since it indicates the degree of pollution. Water polluted by sewage contain one or more species of disease producing pathogenic bacteria. One more important point. Pathogenic bacteria. Do you know what is pathogenic bacteria? Do you know what is pathogenic bacteria? Pathogenic bacteria are the harmful bacteria. There are two types of bacteria. One is the non-harmful bacteria and another is the harmful bacteria. Harmful bacteria is known as the pathogenic bacteria and non-harmful bacteria are known as the non-pathogenic bacteria. Usually, it is very difficult to find out the pathogenic bacteria. So I'm going to tell you how we are going to find that bacteria. Different types of bacteria are there, or biological matters are there. Bacteria, protozoa, viruses, worms, fungi, and are generally known as the infective type of organisms. And basically, bacteria are classified into non-pathogenic bacteria and pathogenic bacteria. So usually we perform test to find out the bacteria is MPN test, most probable number. तुम्ही study केला असेल. So most probable number, what indicates? What we do? We take a sample, then pour in an agar medium, and we let be there for the 24 hours in an incubator, and then next day we find how much amount of colon the group of bacteria has grown. बरोबर आहे. तर ते पॅथोजेनिक बॅक्टेरिया आयडेंटिफाय करणं खूप अवघड असतं. म्हणून आपण काय करतो की नॉन पॅथोजेनिक बॅक्टेरिया आयडेंटिफाय करतो. नॉन पॅथोजेनिक बॅक्टेरिया आयडेंटिफाय करून तुम्हाला पॅथोजेनिक बॅक्टेरियाचा स्टडी कसा कळेल? तर नॉन पॅथोजेनिक बॅक्टेरिया पेक्षा पॅथोजेनिक बॅक्टेरिया ह्या लॉंगर पिरियड पर्यंत जिवंत राहतात. आणि जर नॉन पॅथोजेनिक बॅक्टेरिया तिथे जिवंत आहे त्याचाच अर्थ तिथे पॅथोजेनिक बॅक्टेरिया जिवंत आहेत. So that judgment we take with the help of MPN test, that is most probable number, to find out the biological taste of that water. Is it getting? So this way we can determine. So where I am.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Anyone want to ask me question? Hello.
Okay.
Hello, who is talking? Hello, who is talking? Okay, I will continue. I think something by mistake had happened. Where are the slides? I am not finding the slides. Just a minute, friends. Something went wrong. Do you are able to see the slides, my slides? Presentation is there? Are you able to see? I am not able to see. That's
Yes,
why
ma'am.
okay. Slides are presented to you. Okay, I will go to my own slide and will present it for you. So biological test, you can you have to test. So there are the non-pathogenic bacteria, E. coli bacteria and B. coli bacteria. These two bacteria are not the harmful bacteria, which we can identify easily. And presence of these two bacteria will tell you the presence of pathogenic bacteria, which are very harmful to us. So that's why we perform that MPN test. We can say it is a coliform test or MPN test. MPN stands for most probable number. So that coliform itself is not a harmful group, but it has more resistance to adverse condition than any other group. So if it is ensured to minimize the number of coliform, the harmful species will be very less. So coliform group serves as indicator of contamination of water with sewage and presence of pathogens. So this is about the this is about the bacteriological test. Now you can see that these are the methods which are various methods are also available for estimation of bacterial quality, and these are nothing but the standard plate count test, most probable number test, membrane filter technique test, which will help us to find out the amount of bacteria present into the water. So it will take a lot of time. So that's why we go for the chloride test, as I told you. म्हणजे क्लोराईड टेस्ट केली की तुम्हाला पूर्ण वॉटर क्वालिटी कळते असं नाही, पण क्लोराईड वाढलं याचाच अर्थ की कुठेतरी त्याच्यात सीवेज मिक्स आहे किंवा त्या टाईपचं वॉटर मिक्स आहे, आणि त्या टाईपचं वॉटर मिक्स आहे म्हणजे डेफिनेटली देयर इज द कंटॅमिनेशन ऑफ बॅक्टेरिया. इज इट? So with respect to water demand, what you should study from the GATE point of view, actually I think our lecture is about to over. So we have not reached to the questions what I have selected from this for this study today. We have not reached. So better we will go tomorrow for these questions. Today I will stop, but as a review part, as a last important part, I would like to tell you की तुम्ही काय काय स्टडी करायचं वॉटर डिमांडच्या बाबतीत. तर स्टँडर्ड डिमांड फॉर व्हेरियस पर्पज, त्याच्यानंतर व्हेरियस कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक्स मध्ये त्याचे स्टँडर्ड्स, डिस्पोजल म्हणजे अलाउड स्टँडर्ड्स, विच क्वांटिटी अप टू व्हॉट लेवल वी कॅन कन्झ्युम. मग ते स्टडी करत असताना इंडियन स्टँडर्ड स्टडी करायचे, आणि इंडियन स्टँडर्ड्स प्रमाणेच वॉटर आहे का, आणि असेल तरच ते वॉटर ड्रिंक करायचं. इज इट? तर इंडियन स्टँडर्ड्स मी तुम्हाला मेलला सेंड करेन इंडियन स्टँडर्ड्सची लिस्ट वेगवेगळ्या पॅरामीटर्ससाठी. अदरवाईज ऑल्सो यू कॅन सर्च ऑन नेट, यू कॅन पुट वॉटर ड्रिंकिंग वॉटर इंडियन स्टँडर्ड्स ॲज पर द IS कोड 10050, और अदरवाईज आय विल ऑल्सो सेंड यू. आणि ते स्टँडर्ड सगळे पाठ असले पाहिजे तुमचे. डिझायरेबल लिमिट, टॉलरेबल लिमिट काय असेल ते सगळं तुमचं पाठ असलं पाहिजे. आणि त्या विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू प्रत्येक टेस्ट, कुठल्या टेस्टनी कुठला डिसीज होतो प्रोबॅबली, आणि कुठल्या टेस्टच्या कुठल्या मेथडनी टेस्ट केलं जातं, कुठला इंडिकेटर वापरला जातो, कुठले रिएजंट वापरले जातात, एवढं फक्त तुम्ही केलं तर वॉटर डिमांड मधला म्हणजे पहिला पार्ट जो आहे वॉटर डिमांड, वॉटर सप्लाय इंजिनिअरिंग मधला पहिला पार्ट वॉटर डिमांड हा तुमचा क्लिअर होऊन जाईल. 12 ते 13 तुम्हाला वेगवेगळ्या टेस्ट व्यवस्थित स्टडी करायचे आणि त्यांचे स्टँडर्ड स्टडी करायचे. याच्यावरती मिनिमम 2 ते 3 क्वेश्चन हे निश्चित असतात. तर याच्यामध्ये तुम्हाला 5 मार्काचं प्रिपरेशन तर आरामात होऊन जाऊ शकतं. ठीक आहे. सो दिस इज अबाउट द वॉटर डिमांड. याच्यामध्ये आता तुम्हाला काय विचारायचं असेल किंवा आजच्या लेक्चर बद्दल काही सांगायचं असेल तर थोडं 2 मिनिट आपण बोलू शकतो, कारण आपल्याकडे अजून एक 2-3 मिनिट शिल्लक आहे. ते तुमचा माइक अनम्यूट करून तुम्ही बोलू शकता. अजूनही जॉईन होत आहेत ते लोक. बोलणार आहे का कुणी? कोणालाच प्रॉब्लेम नाहीये का? मी नवीन असल्यामुळं. हा, पवार कोण आहे? जन्मंजय पवार, बोला. पवार नाही का क्वेश्चन? नाही कोणाला क्वेश्चन? खूप लाईट झालं का हे? थोडं बॅकग्राऊंड मला थोडंसं डायरेक्शन्स अशा दिल्या गेलेल्या होत्या की तुमचं वॉटर सप्लाय इंजिनिअरिंग थोडंसं व्यवस्थित झालेलं नव्हतं. आय डोंट नो व्हॉट वॉज देअर, बट स्टील इट वॉज द डायरेक्शन्स टू मी. So I have taken the fundamental part, and then from tomorrow, in tomorrow's lecture, I will go with the questions asked in the last or few back years GATE examination. अमर काय बोलायचं का तुम्हाला? नो क्वेश्चन?
नाही मॅम, नो नो.
क्वेश्चन्स नसतील तर मी थांबवते. मला दुसरी मीटिंग आहे 2:30 लगेच. काहीतरी फीडबॅक द्या. खराब होतं लेक्चर, फार खराब होतं, ठीक होतं?
छान होतं मॅडम.
फार लाईट नाही वाटलं ना?
व्हेरी नाईस मॅम.
नाही नाही, एक नंबर.
व्हेरी नाईस.
नाही, रिअल फीडबॅक द्या. जर तुम्हाला रिअल फीडबॅक द्यायचं असेल तर तुम्ही मला पर्सनलला पण टेक्स्ट करू शकता, काही अडचण नाही. आणि ठीक आहे, मग उद्या भेटूयात आपण.
हो.
ओके, थँक्यू, बाय, टेक केअर. and teaching.
No, पाणी पितो मी तोवर.